Last year in the National Team Challenge LA Open, the Bank On It team used a blitz of spectacular spare shooting and a series of well-placed clutch strikes to win the 6th stop on the initial season tour. The National Team Challenge has moved into the World Arena, and with that move, a new name, the World Team Bowling Challenge. Today, from Fountain Bowl in Fountain Valley, California, Prime Network proudly presents the first stop on the 1993-94 American Bowling Congress World Team Bowling Challenge Tour. And welcome to Fountain Bowl, Fountain Valley, California, for the World Team Bowling Challenge as we start the 93-94 season. Hello again, everybody. Jay Randolph along with Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. Seems like only yesterday we were in Reno finishing up the first year.
It seems that way, Jay, and we're getting ready to start a great season in our new World Team Challenge, and I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, to have the international competitions and the opportunity to have international stars join with the 15 winners of the tour this year and last year's grand champion is going to be very interesting. This is the first of 15 stops this year in the United States, and we're looking forward to a very interesting competition here today. Let's have you meet the teams that have qualified 1, 2, 3, and we'll start with our third team, Barry Asher Bowling from Anaheim, California.
Very familiar name to anybody that knows anything about bowling. Of course, Barry Asher, a Hall of Famer. On the team with him, Mark Baker, another very experienced professional player. Warren Nelson, a former PBA national champion on that same team. On paper, this by far the strongest team in the tournament.
Qualifying number 2, Sando Services of Los Angeles.
This is a team that comes, they all 5 players out of the same bowling center. Again, experience is a very important factor under the Baker system. And I think because they bowl together, they know each other's games, they could be the surprise of the tournament. They've been pushing the first place team ever since the first ball was rolled this week in competition.
Top qualifier, Bowlers Journal of Los Angeles.
Another very strong team on paper. They've led from the beginning, basically, right through the qualifying, right through the Baker system. They're led by Mike McGrath, another Hall of Fame bowler, a left-hander, and he says the reason they put him in first place, he's leading off for their team just to get him out of the way.
This is, of course, team competition, and the excitement of the Baker system is something special. You want to talk a little about that?
The Baker system, very easy format to understand. The whole team qualifies as a unit. In other words, the bowler that has 16 on his shirt, he bowls the first and 6th frame. The bowler that has 27, that number up here on his shirt, he bowls the 2nd and 7th frame, and so on through the match. The only bowler that bowls more than one frame, you might say, is the anchor man. He completes the 10th frame by himself.
We had thousands and thousands competing last year. We're going to have even more and even more prizes for the 1993-94 season. And our first match is coming up. Barry Asher Bowling going up against Sando Services. We'll have it for you when we come back to the Fountain Bowl. The World Team Bowling Challenge is being brought to you by Lynn Shoes for the performance approach. It's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of bowlers worldwide. The Reno Bowling Stadium offering the $25,000 Perfect Game Challenge. The ABC MasterCard. Get a grip on your finances with the ABC MasterCard. And by the American Bowling Congress, pride and service to bowlers since 1895. Make sure your league is ABC sanctioned. And we're ready to get underway here at Fountain Bowl. And to start it off, Sando Services of Los Angeles, Kevin McCarthy, a 30-year-old salesman. And a little wide.
And a little nervous, just a little quick. The ball kind of fell off his hand, Jay. The lane condition here is a very fair but difficult lane condition. The oiling pattern, very even oil across the lane, down to about 30 feet and buff down. And if you get the ball out of the track area, which is, say, between the 2nd and 3rd arrow, it tends to skid. So if you miss it to the right, it wants to skid away. If you set it down early or too soon in the track area, it wants to hook hard left.
And here is a familiar face to bowling fans, Big Mark Baker. Mark, now a mortgage broker in this area, 32 years old, long-time PBA member, and a strike for Baker.
This team, Asher Bowling Supply, a very strong team. And we mentioned that earlier about talent-wise on paper. Hard to imagine anybody beating them, but Sando has been very strong. They've been pushing for the lead all the way through the tournament. And I really think they might be the team to beat. They just need a few breaks, get them loose. The experience factor obviously on the side of Asher's team.
He's 28 years old. Dan Rounds, a controller, with a league average of 212. He's left the 5-9. The Sando Services team qualifying number 2 in the blue shirts. Picked it up. And Barry Asher. Barry, owner of his own Asher Supply Company, 10 PBA titles, member of the PBA Hall of Fame. Oh, left that 7-pin.
Barry has really changed his style. Barry is one of those guys that always had problems getting started, getting his approach going, and he would actually stand there and couldn't start, Jay. He couldn't take the first step. He's changed it a lot. Watch him. He'll never stop moving here. He'll never really get set, and then he'll just start walking, because if he sets, he can't start.
Well, it's interesting that he would pick that up. He's a very happy guy to get started that way. This is Bill DeVoe. He is, and this I hope I can say that correctly, actually puts people to sleep. Ethicist.
Not with his bowling, though.
No.
This guy can bowl. He's got a real nice game, nice solid arm swing, good approach, good, very strong release with good balance at the foul line. He's a good spare shooter. Spares are difficult. Again, the reason being, once the ball goes through the center of the lane where it gets out of the oil pattern, it wants to hook very hard. So you have to be very careful on your spares, or it slides out like that.
Slipped away from him.
And as you know, in the Baker system, fill in the frames, Jay, are very important. And here's a look at that. And watch the ball. He's playing it just outside the center arrow, and that's where it stays. It never grips the lane. It stays in that oil, slides all the way into the channel. And first mistake by either team.
Scott Cray, a 29-year-old Bowling Supply owner, has a regional PBA title to his credit.
Oh, and a big break there. He had the 3-6-10. It looked like it was going to be the baby split, and then the 3 fell. So big break there. Much easier spare, obviously, but the 10-pin, again, on this lane condition, all spares are tough. He's got to be careful through a hard and straight cross lane.
His first match, Asher's Bowling Supply and Sando Services. And at the moment, a lead of 15 for Barry Asher. Juan Fonseca, assistant manager of a bowling center in the 1980 Los Angeles Bowling Association Team Championship. Member of that unit, 33 years old.
What their team has, what Sando Services has going for them, is something I mentioned earlier, is they bowl a lot together, not necessarily as a team or as a unit, but they bowl in the same house together, and they know each other's games. Right now, they're showing the signs of television cameras and a little bit of nerves there. This is a 2-game total pin match, so there's a lot of time left.
Warren Nelson, a pro bowler, 2 PBA titles to his credit, and a strike.
Warren looking at his hand like he kind of lost that ball off his hand. That shows you even an experienced professional can be a little nervous in the first few frames.
Here's the real veteran of this first match, Barry Gurney. 52 years old, retired, won PBA seniors title. Barry's a member of the Los Angeles Bowling Association Hall of Fame.
Barry has one major flaw in his game. He's very smooth to the foul line, and he stalks the foul line very well. He doesn't rush anything, but what he does is he doesn't bend his knee much. Now, that's a physical problem, and he can't get down at the foul line as much as he'd like to, and that causes him to stand up and maybe pull the ball once in a while. Watch, you don't see a real good knee bend. See how he kind of comes up there? When you come up, that makes you pull the ball.
And here is Billy Myers Jr.,
This
youngest fellow on this Asher team, 20 years old, a student, has a PBA regional title to his credit.
Very talented bowler. Got a lot of talent here. Just really revs it up. Almost got lucky with the crossover there, leaving only the 7-pin. And for the left-hander, not an easy spare. This young man, you're going to see a lot of him in the future. He's got a lot of talent. He's going to win some tournaments locally and maybe even nationally if he decides he wants to do that.
This team was 7-2 in match play, a Baker average of 199.3. We'll return with more of our first match here in this World Team Bowling Challenge. At the moment, 26-pin lead. Here's some stats for you. The Bowling Journal with that 1095. We'll see them a little later on. Some of the high qualifying individuals and high qualifying games for this week of competition here at Fountain Bowl. Mondo Services, the second ball in the match.
Much better shot this time.
Leaves the 7.
Leaving only the 7. And what, you know, this is television time. You're getting nervous. You know you got to get up there and make that first shot. And now they've been through it once. The second time around for the whole team, they're going to be a little bit better. And then, again, it's a 2-game total pin match. So this team in the second game, if Asher's team doesn't put them away early, they could be very hard to beat in the second game. All right, we'll take a look at the style and the last shot here. Kevin, watch the release. He gets around the side. He turns the ball quite a bit, gets a lot of side roll on it. You can see the ball spinning. Now it picks up the friction. Not quite enough to get to the 5-pin, but enough to carry everything but the 7.
Mark Baker, and he leaves the 10.
And Mark Baker, I'm sure going through his mind is, how many of those have I left in my life, you know? Especially when I really wanted it. Here's a guy, he's very strong. Mark Baker, about 6'3", 230, 240 pounds, can throw the ball extremely hard, and that's what he does at his spares.
Back problems caused him to leave the tour, and he was an outstanding performer out there. Now Dan Rounds. Got to hurry. Didn't get there in time.
And they're getting the ball outside that track area. You know what the track area is for you people that may not realize what it is? It's friction that's created by throwing a bowling ball basically in the same part of the lane time after time. That makes the boards a little bit softer in that part of the lane. So by being softer, they create more friction. So if you get the ball outside that area or inside of it, it tends to skid more.
And trying to pick up the 1, 2, 4, and he didn't do it.
He didn't do it. And if you hit that friction area, which is between the second and third arrow, the ball will grip and want to hook. Now watch this. He's trying to play right around the second arrow right there. He got it about at the 8 board going to the right, and it never came back.
Barry Asher.
Now Asher going right up that track area. And what I mean by a different delivery for Barry Asher is he used to be one of the strongest or most powerful bowlers on the PBA Tour. A lot of wrist action, really hit the ball hard or rotated it very, very hard. Very talented player. Now he's kind of floating the ball off his hand and just letting it kind of slide down the lane. I think that's a product of the bowling balls. The balls hook so much nowadays. The bowlers try not to really roll them as well as they used to the rubber balls.
Asher's team doing a good job of filling the frames.
They're making great shots. They're hitting the pocket, leaving easy spares, basically 1-pin spares. Sano has to get it going, and now it's a good time. This young man might be the guy that'll start it for him.
Bill DeVoe.
Crossover.
Left the 5-pin.
We'll take a look at that. Watch the ball. It hits a head pin and how it deflects very hard to the right, leaving only the 5-pin. Everything goes around it. It's amazing how 9 pins can go by that and leave it standing there, but it happens. He's got to hurry. Just did get it. What makes the Baker system not only difficult to play as a team because you only get 2 chances to help your team each game, but not only that, but they're bowling on lanes 53 and 54 here at Fountain Bowl, and then they'll switch. After this game, they'll switch lanes, so they get a chance to bowl on the other team's lane, which they're not lined up on, so they haven't figured out yet. So that makes it a little more difficult.
And Scott Cray with a Brooklyn.
We'll take a look. Now watch this. Now you see the other guy left the 5-pin, Jay. No, this is what you call a good break. He's playing way inside the track area. The ball gets down the lane and hooks very sharply. He gets just enough of the 5 to knock it into the 9. There's the death shot right there. Now Juan's got lined up, and he's the guy really that settles his team down. If he gets going, he'll pick these guys up and get them excited, and they'll start making better shots.
A strike for Juan Fonseca.
If you want to see a classic stylist, here's the guy to watch. Warren Nelson. Watch the balance, the power through the shot, the good long extension, and a 4.67.
Yeah.
As soon as I
and a problem.
I must be the guy that causes this kind of stuff, I guess. But as soon as I pick a guy out to really show you this is the guy you want to copy, he'll make a shot like that. But Warren is a stylish player. He's got great fundamentals.
Oh, and a good try.
Well, this is what we were kind of looking for. If Asher's team kept hitting the pocket, not getting the strikes, then a player makes a mistake, they get the open. This puts Sanos right back in the match, especially if they strike here. And this is the lefty, got a lot of experience. Good chance they can get the double. And it's an even match, basically, if he does.
Oh, there it is for Barry Gurney.
See, now they're pumped up. Before they were sitting there kind of with their heads down and a little bit of a hangdog look. But now they're pumped up. They're back in the match.
The wily veteran came through for him.
A wily veteran, yes. One more time now, and they're only 10 pins behind, basically, and it's anybody's match with a full game to go.
This fella's a real smoothie. You mentioned he does have that one flaw with the leg, but nice and easy.
Oh, getting the job done. That's why he's bowling 5th.
See him looking up at the scoreboard.
Dropped that one. Dropped it in the right spot.
Yes, he did. What a nice way to finish up. Good going for Barry Gurney and the Sondo Services team late here.
You can see how he gets the ball off his hand very quickly into the lane, and that helps him create friction, so he doesn't have to lift the ball very hard to get it into a good roll. He uses the early part of the lane by pushing it into the lane to make it turn over for him. Billy Myers, chance to answer back, get his team pumped up for the second game. Well, we're going to end up here with about, if he spares here, with just a very few pins, maybe 7 or 8 pins difference in the match, Jay.
Gurney really put the pressure back on Barry Asher's team, and especially young Billy Myers.
And the key is going to be in that second game, which the match obviously is still up for grabs, who can adjust the fastest to the change from when they change over here, switching lanes. The Baker format, one of the most competitive ways to bowl as a team there could possibly be, probably the most fun. It really is. It's a remarkable way to go out and have a good time, get a league going in this format, Jay. Be fantastic. And they're springing up all over the country. The Baker system is really creating a lot of excitement.
A lot of people getting to see how it works, of course, watching the World Team Bowling Challenge. And we'll return. Barry Asher's team is up 8. Back in a moment. Getting set for the second game in this opening match. Mark Baker to lead it off. Mark's going to be married in 6 days. His fiancée Julie is in the crowd watching him. That was good watching.
Well, that's fun to watch. That's what you call hitting them thin and watching them spin. And Mark Baker, you know, this team is so talented. And he's a very powerful bowler. Watch him go around the side lift very hard up on the ball, which creates all that rotation and that kind of back end and that kind of result. And there's his reaction.
I was asking him how much he bowls these days. He said, not much. Kevin McCarthy for Sondo Services.
Oh, and another big break.
Big break. He came up way short there.
He could have had just about anything down there. First he had 4 pins standing, and then it looked like he was going to have a split with the 4-5-7, and he ends up only with the 7 pin. Has to be careful. Remember, I told you how the spares are here. If you give the ball a chance to hook, it'll hook right off the lane into the channel. Got to keep it hard and straight right at it, just like that.
Good job there. Barry Asher
never stops moving. Watch him. He can't get his hand on the ball. He finally gets it in, and he's on his way. Here we go.
Get up.
Oh, and a trip
Got
forward.
them all. Yes, sir.
Barry's pumped up. Look at his eyes. Look at, you can see it in his eyes. He really wants to win this badly.
They won the first game 185-177. Dan Rounds.
Another big break.
And yes.
Now that's what's called pretty good pin action. He got just enough of the 5 pin, and you'll see it again. Watch the ball cross to the opposite side of the head pin. Watch the 5 pin. Just enough. It gets hit by the 2 pin going back, just enough to lay on the 9. Unbelievable pin action.
Scott Cray.
Scott can rev it up. Now here's a young man that has what you call pro revolutions. He can get some stuff on it right there.
Yeah.
Not quite enough of the head pin, leaving only the 5.
Well, look at Joe Norris, the ABC Hall of Famer, one of the great gentlemen of the game, up from San Diego today. Good to see him. And they've got a memorial tournament coming up for his late wife, Billy Norris, benefiting the hospice down there, January 22nd, down in San Diego, California.
Joe probably would rank right up there in the top 5 guys all time as a team bowler.
And as a gentleman, too. We'll return with more of the World Team Bowling Challenge from the Fountain Bowl right after these messages. And then an excellent job by Fonseca picking up a 1-3-6-9 spare. Here's Billy Myers. Myers gets them all.
Here's a look at it. Now watch the rotation on this ball. Good arm swing, good balance at the foul line, gets the ball well out in front of him. Very hard rotation, right to left, left to right, excuse me, solid in the pocket, and a great reaction. His team was off the bench. The whole team was off the bench. When you get Barry Asher and Mark Baker off the bench, you did something pretty good.
Yeah, they've been through the wars a little. Here is Barry Gurney. And a very big strike there for Sondo Services.
Now this guy, like you said, he's an old smoothie, but boy, he sure gets plenty of hitting power in that bowling ball in the back end. It's amazing. It's fun to watch.
And back to Mark Baker.
The scoring's heated up a little bit here in the second game. Not this time.
And Baker with a bit of a problem here. The 1-2-4-10.
The washout. And it looked to me like Mark, you know, we've talked to him. He hasn't been bowling very much, maybe once a week in league, and that's about it. And it looked to me like he kind of rushed that one a little bit. And that's not like Mark Baker, who usually is very slow to the foul line, much like he is right there. Got to get lucky. Didn't do it. And that's kind of a disaster situation there. Not only do you lose a great amount in pin count, but you get the open. It brings your team down off that high. They started out double, spare double. And emotionally, they were very high. And now all of a sudden, everybody's got their head down a little bit sitting on the bench.
And that comes up a little short for Kevin McCarthy.
And not only does Mark Baker get the open to hurt his team at this point, but at the same time, he's all done. He can't help his team anymore this game or at this match. So he's got to sit there and hope that his team can pull it out without him.
That is the frustration of the Baker system that comes into play.
And look at that. They give it right back on a very, very easy spare.
A very, very big mistake at that point. Now Barry Asher, Hall of Famer.
leaving only the 2 and the 7, which is a left-hander's baby split, you might say. Much easier for a right-hander to pick this up because he can hook the ball into the 7 pin. So he'll try to hit the 2 pin and get a lot of it and hook the ball into the 7 off the 2 pin.
I'm reminded how happy we all are to have Lynn Shoes as the title presenting sponsor of our 1993-94 series. He got it.
Well, Barry's always been a good spare shooter and always been a good clutch player, so you don't expect him to make very many mistakes on that, especially on that kind of a shot. Running out of frames here for Sando. They've got to get it going, and now's the time to do it. They've got 4 shots left, and they're still very much in the match. Anybody's match to win.
Dan Rounds leaving the 4 pin.
Can't get careless. Can't afford any more mistakes. They've run out of frames. They can't give anything back now. Throw it hard, right at it.
We'll be back to this first match of the World Team Bowling Challenge here in California after we take time out for these messages. Owner will be bringing a team to our Grand Championship. I had the pleasure of covering the bowling in 1988 in Seoul, Korea.
No one likes bowling any more than the Koreans, the Japanese. Most of the Asian people just love to play the game, and I'm sure they're going to be very represented very well here in the World Team Championships in Reno. Got to hurry.
Oh, boy.
The team has lost its momentum just from that one shot, it seems, when Mark Baker let one get away from him, left the washout. The rest of the team is just
wow.
Yeah.
You see what he said? Wow.
Yeah, they're just kind of like, what's going on here? You know, and they've got the lead, but they're feeling a little pressure here. And if Sando can just get something going, they could pull this match out. It won't take much. Be careful.
This is Bill DeVoe. Bill, who struck earlier in this match. Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Didn't get the action he wanted there.
Actually, he got a little bit of a break there by getting the 9 pin out. He had the bucket. He had for a moment there the 3, 5, 6, 9, and he left only the 3, 5, 6. The 9 falling out makes it a lot easier to pick this spare up. And he almost got a bad break out of a good break. Now watch what happens to the 9 pin. Right here, it gets hit from behind. It almost falls forward. And he missed it anyway. What's going on here, Jay? We talked about how tough the spares are. It doesn't seem like anyone's going to win this match. Somebody's going to give it to somebody else.
Yeah, that's the feeling you get. Nobody has been overpowering and aggressive here.
Aggressive, I think, is the key word. We haven't seen any of that. No one's got out there and charged up.
That's a very big strike for Warren Nelson. Warren, who won the '78 PBA National.
Bunch of old veterans on that team, Jay, and they're going to be hard to beat if they get by this match because they'll be, again, reacclimated to bowling on television. Big advantage winning the match before. You feel like you've got everything to gain and nothing to lose in the championship.
On Fonseca. And it's beginning to look rather bleak for Sando's services here.
Only a major disaster would give them an opportunity now to win the match. Spare here, and then 3 in the 10th would give them a 190 game. And that's just not enough to pick up the difference in the 2 games unless Asher's team just completely falls apart in the 10th frame. Look at that. He almost stood it up across the lane, Jay. He had the 3 pins sliding across. Here's a look at it. You can see the difference. 28 pins in the match. That's total now. This is a 2-game total pin match. So if Asher's team can only mark, that's really all they need. Any kind of a mark and the match is over. Actually, 7 pins on 2 balls would be a winner.
Young Billy Myers.
It's a nice place to be.
Yeah, I think he can handle this. And a big strike there, and Barry Asher's bowling supply coming through with this victory, and we will see them in the championship as they'll go against the Bowling Journal of Los Angeles. We'll have some bowling news coming up in just a few moments.
Brought to you by Lynn's Shoes. For the performance approach, it's American-made Lynn's Shoes, the choice of better bowlers worldwide.
12 teams, men and women, gathered in Indianapolis recently for the Intercollegiate Bowling Championships. In the women's semifinals, this strike by Lisa Moorhead clinches a victory for Moorhead State over Illinois State, 381-315. They played 2 games in the Baker format. In the finals, Moorhead State against #1 seed William Patterson, and this strike by Becky Mullen gives William Patterson a 9-pin lead after the first game. Second game, Sherry Pollard keeps Moorhead State close with this tough conversion, but William Patterson uses a tough conversion of their own to help put it away. Natalie Zeno, watch it come off the side wall. This and 5 strikes in a row in this final game, and William Patterson wins 404-357 to claim the national championship. For the men in the semifinals, San Jose State comes from 32 pins down to beat William Patterson. The comeback is complete with this strike by Scott Garner, and they advance 393-358. But waiting for them in the finals, #1 seed Wichita State, and they send an early message with 4 straight strikes to open the first game, including this one by Lonnie Wallachek. In the second game, now up by 43, the Shockers put it away. Dave Garber's strike in the second frame adds to that lead. And this one by Kelly Bennett wraps it up. Wichita State 399-342, their 8th national title overall, and the 3rd for the men, both more than any other school. The Challenge of the Hemispheres recently was conducted at Hawthorne Lanes in suburban Chicago, with Australia, South Africa, and Canada being hosted by Team USA. The competition featured 18 5-player team games over 3 days. In the men's division, Team USA, behind national champion Anthony Chapman, rallied in the last match to slip past Team Canada by 57 pins. Australia turned the tables on Team USA's women's team in the final game to grab that title. Team USA led from the initial game, but fell 1 game short.
Here's the calendar of stops on the World Team Bowling Challenge coming up. And as we look at this, we can tell you there's been a lot of interest from places like Australia, Korea, Japan, Canada, Germany, Great Britain, Finland, and Team USA, of course. They'll all be involved in our finals coming up in Reno in June. And if you're interested in participating in this World Team Bowling Challenge, call 414-423-3415. Stay tuned. We'll be back with our championship match. 389 for Barry Asher Bowling and 351 for Sondo Services. And now to the championship. Barry Asher's bowlers going up against the Bowlers Journal from Los Angeles, and it will be the big guy to lead it off, Mark Baker. You can't start any better than that.
Oh, that shows the power of Mark Baker. He just kind of destroyed that rack that time. These two teams here, we lead off with the Hall of Famer Mike McGrath. I was getting into the experience side of it. There's very little difference in experience here. All 10 players know each other. They know how each other plays the game, and there's not going to be much of an advantage, and there won't be any psychological edge at all.
McGrath, 47 years old, sales representative for Brunswick Corporation, member of the ABC and PBA Halls of Fame. And the winner of this match, $1,500 plus airfare and lodging at the Grand Championship, the rings from Keepsake, and the Lynn's shoes for each team member. And Mike picks it up. Look at Barry Asher.
Got to hurry there.
Well, they got a bit of a break.
Very, very disappointed with himself there. His team had a chance to jump out with an early lead, and He left an easy spare, like you said, Jay. Got a pretty good break there. And talking again about the experience factor, Mike McGrath's team, the Bowlers Journal team, also very experienced with several regional championships to the credit of the team members. So, again, getting back to this, I don't think there's much of an edge here other than the fact that Barry Asher's team won the previous match, which gives them somewhat of an edge, knowing what the lanes are like. And, of course, they have everything to gain, nothing to lose going into the championship match here.
36-year-old Damon Cardwell, who is a bowling writer. And he strikes.
Looks like he knows what he writes about, doesn't he?
I should say so. And in his spare time, he also works as a TV commercial prop man in the Los Angeles area.
Here's a look at his style, and you can see he gets deep inside in the lane, almost the fourth arrow, but look at the rotation. He spins the ball a little bit, just enough at the back end, hit light, make him dance a little bit.
Scott Cray. He's got it on the way and a little high.
Scott's struggling a little bit. He's not comfortable, and it looks like he's having some problems with his timing. Getting to the foul line, he seems like he's a little bit quick, and he's a little ahead of the ball. Planting his foot, pulling the ball through, all those things create that kind of a reaction there where the ball goes high in the head pin. Again, this is a difficult lane condition, a very fair lane condition. It makes it equitable for all the teams. You have to make your spares, fill the frames to be competitive.
And he picks up the 3-6. And we get our first look now at Tom Underwood. Tom is 40 years old, a pro shop owner. That's a little high, but it didn't make any difference.
And he'll get some, see how the machine didn't cycle on that shot? He'll get some static from his teammates about throwing the ball a little harder.
Okay. Well, they're the co-owners, Dave Osborne and Vince Rodriguez, of the West Lanes Recreation Centers, and this, of course, is one of their houses. We'll return right after these messages. Bowling. Oh boy, the 10 would not go down for him.
And you can see Warren talk to his teammates, and what he's talking about is watch the ball never really grips the lane and goes into a heavy roll. Watch the deflection of the ball, leaving the weak 10, almost the 8-10. And the reason of that happened is Warren got on top of the ball with his hand instead of staying underneath it. You get on top of the ball, you really don't get good rotation.
And for the Bowlers Journal, here is Ricky Corona. Ricky's 30 years old, a pro shop owner, and he's won 3 PBA regional titles.
Very talented player. Ricky, I think, could do well on the national tour if he were to have that kind of an inclination. In fact, I think he
problem here.
Yeah, I think he spent a little time on the tour several years back and decided it wasn't the lifestyle he liked, so he's back running a pro shop. But this, the 1-2-4, excuse me, the 1-2-4-10. Can't even get it out, Jay. The washout. For all of us people that know all the bowling vernacular.
You know it.
He'll try to hit the left side of the head pin, make it go into the 10. The ball will take out the other 2. And he missed it.
Didn't get it.
The advantage that I talked about with the team coming up comes from the fact that they've already bowled 2 games. They're comfortable on the lane condition, much more so than Bowlers Journal is, obviously. And they're also, again, have nothing to lose, whereas the team coming on, the leaders, have to get acclimated to bowling in front of the television cameras. They have to get used to the lane condition again. So it's a feeling out process for them, whereas Barry Asher's team has a real good chance to jump out to an early lead here.
Dan Roach, a local coordinator here.
Danny bowled for a number of years on the pro tour, and also still an excellent player. Good looking guy too, isn't he?
Very, very handsome gentleman. Very distinguished looking.
Nice guy. Real nice guy.
20-year-old Billy Myers Jr. trying to pick this up. All right.
And Billy a little nervous there. He tries to throw it hard and straight at the corner pins, and he almost threw it too straight. He thought he was going to chop the 4-pin off the 8-pin.
Here's the anchor man for Bowlers Journal, Tim Schwertfeger.
That's pretty close.
32 years old. Yeah, he's a
You
fine chef.
You almost said that right. You know?
I did say it right.
Leaving only the 9-pin. Almost had the 4-9, which is the product of getting the ball a little high in the head pin, and he tripped the 4 out. Only the 9, an easy spare. Could have been much worse. Good shot for an opening shot by Tim.
See the qualifying average. The Bowler's Journal had the high game, 269, and in match play they were 6-3.
Mike McGrath, their leadoff bowler, bowled extremely well on that throughout the qualifying.
ABC director Ken Knapp has joined us here at the Fountain Bowl.
Lots of dignitaries in the audience, and this the championship match, second time around on this lane for Mark Baker.
And he gets them all with a Brooklyn hit. Look at him shake his head.
Well, I like the way they do that. See, now the reason you do that is you know, he's a professional. He's won several PBA events and all that kind of stuff, and he's kind of embarrassed to carry that. But deep in his heart, he's saying, boy, I'm glad that's over with and I got the strike. He'll take this. He's not going to argue. He doesn't want it over, Jay.
No, he does not want it over. Now, Mike McGrath.
I expect Mike to get something going here for his team. He's their leader. He has to make something happen. Not this time.
Well, he came up short.
His first shot on this lane in the first frame, remember, he hit high on the head pin.
Right.
Made the spare. Came back now. He comes back trying to make an adjustment. The ball doesn't finish. And I watched him in practice before his team got on the air here, and he was having the same problem on lane 54. He was striking almost at will on 53, but he couldn't get it in the pocket on lane 54.
Trying to knock the 1, 3, 6, 7 down here and make this spare, and they're open.
Kind of funny that Mike would just sit down now. McGrath's sitting down after that open, and the guy on the approach, Barry Asher, his ex-roommate. They lived together for about 8 years. Very good friends. Something bothered Barry. He's going to wait.
One of the technicians on our crew coming up to make an adjustment from the side, and it caught Barry's eye, so just a little pause in the play. This is the...
It's hard enough for Barry to get started without that kind of...
That's right. Here he goes.
Got to get lucky.
That's the 6-pin.
Only the 6, yeah. A little struggling going on here. Now, the lanes change, as all of you that are home know. As the ball rolls down the lane, it picks up some of the oil. It moves it around. The oil is the dressing they apply to the surface of the lane so that the ball will skid and then create friction and roll. Now, as that oil moves around, obviously, the bowlers have to move with it. They have to make adjustments. If they don't, you get that kind of reaction. And in the Baker system, it's even more difficult because, as we've mentioned, you only get each game 2 chances to help your team.
Damon Cardwell, who is not currently bowling in league play, but is on this Bowler's Journal team, and connects there nicely.
Another strike. That's his second of the match already.
Here's a good look shot as we go to commercial, and we will return with more of this World Team Bowling Challenge from the Fountain Valley, Huntington Beach, Los Angeles area right after these messages. Along with Earl Anthony, Jay Randolph, Scott Cray.
Now, that's unusual, that kind of a hit that you'd leave the 10-pin. More often than not, you'll leave the 7-pin by a right-hander. But he hit it thin. He got it where in the area of the lane where he wanted it. It came in a little bit behind the head pin, and he had the pins dancing, but not enough to get over across the lane. He'll go stand on the left side of the approach, try to throw the ball fairly hard and fairly straight. All he has to do is hit it. He doesn't have to throw a real strong ball. Just like that.
Here are the sweeper results. 2-game total here this week.
John Handegard is a familiar name to most bowling fans. One of the better senior players on the senior bowling tour.
Tom Underwood, let's go. And a beauty.
Now, that was a good adjustment. Tom was lost his first time up there, got the Brooklyn strike. This time he makes a move. He goes farther out near the channel, about the 8 or 9 board, and he rolls it end over end right into the pocket. Great shot.
We're back to Warren Nelson for Barry Asher bowling. And a strike from him.
Remember, this 2 games total pins decides the championship. So this is the game you want to stay close. Don't let your opponents get away from you where it's too hard to catch up. And that could happen here to the Bowler's Journal team if they don't get a couple more strikes this game.
Ricky Corona. He was the '85 Western PBA Region Rookie of the Year.
That's probably why, huh? 3 in a row for the Bowler's Journal team. They're right back in the match, and it's virtually even. Here's a look at it. Ricky playing deep inside, right over that 4th arrow. Heavy forward roll. The ball sets up, picks up the friction at the back end, and just enough to carry that 10-pin out.
Just 2 pins separating these 2 units. Team competition with the innovative Baker scoring system. All 5 players involved, and this is a very tough break for young Billy Myers Jr.
It is. The 2, 4, 6, 10. What he has to do here is hit the 2-pin on the left side. The ball will take out the 4. The 2-pin will slide across and take out the 6 and the 10, hopefully. Not as difficult as it looks.
Not for you, maybe.
Well, his target here is the 4-pin. Keep it out there. Yeah, a little too much of the 2-pin. Very, very bad break for Barry Asher's team, and a big break possibly for the Bowler's Journal team, who has been behind all through this first game of this 2-game match. They have an opportunity to take a big lead going into the second game right here.
Tim Schwertfeger.
Got to get lucky.
Oh, he does have to.
Oh, my.
And he does. Oh.
I'll tell you what, not only did he get lucky, but the ball actually rolled out, and that's the reason he struck. If it had kept hooking, he didn't even have enough speed on the ball for it to maintain its drive. Watch the ball. It'll straighten out. See, now watch it change the rotation. It'll go end over end right there, and then it'll straighten out, get just enough of the head pin to send it to the wall and cause all that pin action to kick the 9 and the 10 pin out. If that ball had continued to hook, he wouldn't have hit the head pin. So instead of maybe a very difficult spare, he ends up with a key strike in the 10th frame and a chance to add another 10 pins to the lead with a strike here. He'll try very hard to get this on the right side of the head pin. And he did. Great shot there.
Excellent. The way he took his time and made the adjustment.
Well, I think he was a little bit in shock after that first one, Jay. And here's a good look at that last shot, which is just about as good as you're going to get the ball into the pocket area. Enters at the right angle to strike. Never a doubt the 10-pin would go. Look at his eyes. His eyes were almost as big as his bowling ball, Jay. What a great finish by Bowler's Journal.
And the score is 2-15 for Bowler's Journal. We'll be back with more as Bowler's Journal has won this first game by 35 pins over Barry Asher Bowling. Their qualifying scores and their Baker scores. It's been an outstanding week of competition here. The match play records.
What was interesting, Jay, is Bowler's Journal led this tournament by 1 pin going into the telecast. 1 pin after all those games.
Well, here we go now to our last game. Mike McGrath will lead it off. 35 pin difference. Now that sounds like a lot of pins, but not in Baker play.
Not in Baker play. That could go in 3 frames, 2 frames. Mike McGrath, kind of a unique style. Holds the ball on his side, does a little figure 8 in the backswing, and then gets right up the back of the ball and rolls it end over end.
Bowler's Journal on a roll here.
And
then
you look at the style of this very strong, virile young Mark Baker, who can really rip the holes out of it. Completely opposite of Mike McGrath.
Oh, and a strike from Baker. $25,000 for the first 300 game in this World Team Bowling Challenge from our friends putting together that Reno bowling stadium, the Reno Convention Center folks. A little short there.
No, the 2-8-10. This particular spare is almost impossible. About the only thing you can hope to do is hit it head on into the 2-pin into the 8 and hope it'll bounce somehow out of the pit and take out the 10. A left-hander could make this much easier than a right-hander, obviously, but for a right-hander, this is because of the angle on the lane, it's almost impossible. Try to hit it hard right in the middle. Tried. Good try.
Well, now Barry Asher. He needs a strike. The man in motion. Just a little short. Look,
just enough.
Oh.
Hey, I'll tell you what. When things start going your way, here it is. We're right back having a match. The 35-pin lead has been reduced dramatically, and look at this shot. Right up the ball track, never does get back to the head pin enough to really do much damage. And guess what? The 2-pin falls forward. Justice for Barry East.
Tom Underwood. Tom certainly on target here.
Well, a strike here for Asher's team when we've got about a 3-pin match instead of 35. So that's how quickly in the Baker system things can turn around.
And Scott Cray is up. A little bit high.
Scott's having his problems, a little bit of problems with his timing there. That one he kind of cut the ball off, and you could hear it hit the lane. He kind of threw it up in the air, and I just don't think he's comfortable yet. And it's running out of time. He only has one more chance to help his team, and this is kind of a must spare. Can't afford the open at this point.
The 3-6-10. All right.
Handled it well. Great shot there.
Bowler's Journal up by 16. Ricky Corona.
Ricky is throwing the ball extremely well. His team is pumped, and they feel like they've got a real good shot at winning this right now, and I can see why. They're all pumped up. They all look like they're relaxed and loose, and they're comfortable on lane 53. And you can see Ricky playing that deep inside line around the 4th arrow, and that's where you'll trip a lot of 4-pins like that.
Here's Warren Nelson. He gets them all.
All 10 of these bowlers, as I mentioned earlier, know each other, know each other's games, and actually several of them bowl league right here at Fountain Bowl. So they're familiar with the bowling center. They're not familiar with this particular lane condition because this is an American Bowling Congress lane condition, and it's a little more difficult than the normal house procedure.
And Tim Schwerdfager, our chef, who couldn't quite get them all there, has 2 PBA regional titles to his credit. And now young Billy Myers Jr. for the Barry Asher bowling team. And we'll be midway through this final game.
It's a big strike for their team, a chance to double and then come into their strong players.
Well, they got a bit of a break there.
Almost disaster. Remember, in the 10th frame of that first game of this match, Billy had the big split and was only able to get 2 of those pins. And here, watch the last pin to go on the right-hand side. You see the 10-pin standing, and then it's gone. The 4-10, much more difficult, obviously, than only the 4-pin.
Uh-oh.
That was hard to understand. I don't understand his reasoning there, why he would play that shot down the channel like he did and not instead of cross lane.
A big, big mistake. We'll be back to see who's going to be our champion in this first stop on the World Team Bowling Challenge Tour. 7-pin lead as we go now to the last round of this game and decide on the champion here at Fountain Bowl, just south of Los Angeles in Orange County. Mike McGrath.
Oh my.
Oh, this could change matters very drastically.
7-10. Mike very disappointed, and it was obviously why. He hit the pocket. Watch the ball. He likes the release. He likes the way it's rolling, and he was running it out. 5-pin goes in front of the 10. The 2-pin goes in front of the 7. No luck at all there. The only good thing at this point is his team has a 37-pin lead going into that shot.
Mark Baker.
Last chance for Mark Baker to help his team as Mike McGrath, he's finished for the match. Got to hurry. Mark got that one outside of his target, didn't get it back, got it out in that oil near the channel, and it's just going to stay there. Even with all the power that Mark Baker can get on a bowling ball, sometimes it just can't get it back to the pocket. And he leaves the 2, the 4, and the 8 a little easier than if he had the 5-pin as part of it. This is called broken bucket.
Whoa. And a very disappointed Mark Baker.
Well, we're getting into those last few frames where the championship is on the line, and this is where everybody gets to starting to aim a little more instead of freewheeling. Things change quickly.
Damon Cardwell has it on the way, and a strike.
And a big strike for Bowler's Journal. Filling frames is all Bowler's Journal is going to try to do now. If they can fill frames, they're going to be the champion.
And Earl, you mentioned a few moments ago, they appear to be a little more relaxed. And Barry Asher bowling. Here is Barry.
Wait. He almost got something coming off the wall to kick out that 4-pin.
Right.
That was a great shot by Barry under the circumstances. This, the pressure shots, and his last chance to help his team after 2 pretty grueling days of competition here at Fountain Bowl, down to their last 3 frames for the championship. Got to hurry. Spares aren't gimmies anymore.
This is the first of our 93-94 series that will culminate with the Grand Championship at Hilton Lanes in Reno, June 24, 25, and 26. 35-pin lead for Bowler's Journal. Thanks again to Lynn Shoes, our title presenting sponsor this year. And this time, Tom Underwood in the 2-5.
A lot of ways to make this, a lot of ways to miss it. And at this point in the match, even though they have a pretty good sized lead, you can't afford to make a mistake. So he's got to be careful, hard and straight. And that's one of the ways to miss it.
Oh boy.
Chop the 2 off the 5.
Earl, talking about our Grand Championship, of course, the team that won it, the National Team Challenge Brunswick Rhinos, will be invited back too for the Grand Championship.
You know they're going to be practicing because they are the national team champions. Now they want to be the world team champions.
There you go. And here is a problem for Scott Cray. And every time Barry Asher bowling looks like they've got an opportunity to do some business, something like this happens.
Yeah, and this, again, not that difficult to spare. There's a lot of ways to make this. He wants to get the ball between the 3 and the 6. Ball will take out the 10. 3-pin, go cross lane, hit the 7. Nope. And Barry's team looks like they are kind of giving up at this point, and it's still not over. 2 frames to play. We've talked about it before, Jay. The Baker system, anything can happen. We don't mean Mark Baker's system either.
No.
We mean the American Bowling Congress Baker system of scoring.
Ricky Corona.
Same shot, different player. See how Ricky handles it. Not near as much pressure on Ricky as there would have been if his opponent had made his spare. Looks familiar. That's not an instant replay. That's a different player, same result.
Well, very interesting here.
We're getting down now to the 9th and 10th frame, and this really Warren Nelson's last chance, obviously, to help his team, but a strike here would really get them back with an opportunity to win this. Never make it.
Just stayed out there.
He lost it off his hand, and you know, the ball he never really got a chance to lift the ball. It just kind of fell off his hand, and some good-natured kidding going back and forth. The players kind of realize the match is basically over at this point. You see some smiles and some disappointed kind of sardonic grins, I guess you might say.
Warren kind of happy just to get that line down there.
Yeah, watch this ball. It'll leave his hand right at the bottom of the swing. Instead of getting rid of it on the upswing, it's gone right there. You see that? It's gone. He never had a chance to lift the ball, so that's why it never really hooked.
The anchor man for Bowler's Journal.
Good shot. Great shot under the circumstances, and looks like we have our first champion. First national champion in the world competition, Jay.
And coming up next, of course, Denver, Colorado. Already 36 teams entered there. You folks in the Mile High City in that area. Still some places available. Well, Tim.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, but he's a little embarrassed, I think.
Well, he was trying to throw a reverse hook at that, and it didn't reverse hook. It just went straight. So
right.
They kind of coasted into this one, Jay, after that. I thought it was going to be a high-scoring match. Two very talented teams.
Especially after the first game. But it didn't turn out that way. The lane conditions changing. The victory here for Bowler's Journal of Los Angeles, as they will be automatically into the Grand Championship next June at the Hilton Lanes in Reno. A very fine victory for them, as young Billy Myers Jr. will finish it out here.
And
disappointing loss.
A justifiable victory, Jay, in the fact that they led the tournament from the qualifying rounds right on through the Baker system and in obviously into the telecast. And even though they only led it by 1 pin, they still led it. And it's been a very competitive week. Very strong play by a lot of fine players here in the Los Angeles area. Denver will fill up quick, so if you want to play, get your entry.
Tell you again about how you can be a part of the World Team Bowling Challenge. Dial 414-423-3415. Tom Bodecker will be happy to talk to you about joining the World Team Bowling Challenge. Well, there's a very happy bunch. The Bowler's Journal has won it here at the Fountain Bowl in Orange County. And the final score: Barry Asher Bowling 346, the Bowler's Journal 365. And we'll come back and pass out the prizes right after these messages. World Team Challenge has been brought to you by Lynn Shoes for the performance approach. It's American-made Lynn Shoes, the choice of bowlers worldwide. The Reno Bowling Stadium offering the $25,000 Perfect Game Challenge. Keepsake Rings, maker of Championship Ring Awards. The Reno Hilton Hotel, host of the Grand Championship event. And by the American Bowling Congress, championship service to bowlers for nearly 100 years. Make sure your league is ABC sanctioned. There is our final score as Bowler's Journal has won it here, and we have our first team already set to head to Reno next June to play for the big money. And congratulations, Damon Cardwell. You all were very, very tough in the clutch.
Well, thank you, Jay. It turned into a spare shooting fiasco there at the end, but which is ironic because these guys shot spares really well all weekend, and I was pretty much the only guy who was flagging things. But we survived. That string of strikes in the first game helped a lot.
This is a good group of fellas. You know, the chemistry that is created with this kind of scoring is really fantastic.
Well, particularly with this fivesome that we're bowling with, the chemistry that's created is almost noxious. But we have a lot of fun both on and off the lanes. I like these guys. I respect these guys, and I learn a lot when I bowl with them. It's just a pleasure to have my ball on the same rack with some of these guys. They're, you know, great.
Well, you write for the Bowler's Journal, and I also mentioned, of course, you're a prop man doing a lot of commercial work. What happens when you lose something?
When I lose a prop, that simply doesn't happen in this business, Jay. It's not allowed.
Sure. You're not allowed, huh? Yeah. Earl's got Mike McGrath over there. I know he wants to visit with him.
Just briefly, Jay, because Mike and I go back a lot of years, as you know. This is a Hall of Fame bowl, a lot of years, right? And we were talking earlier, and Mike, you mentioned something about the last time you and I bowled on television.
Yeah, I think it was black and white, wasn't it, Earl? I think you had a crew cut.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
Didn't have replay machines in those days.
Right.
I know that.
Didn't have replays. And the team you bowled against, Barry Asher Bowling Supply. Barry Asher, another Hall of Fame bowler. And something that was kind of unusual, you mentioned that you and Barry as far as television goes.
Well, first of all, Barry's probably my closest friend, has been for many, many years. But in all of our careers on tour, and it pretty well coincided the same years, we never bowled against each other on television. So this is the first time.
And you were roommates for a number of years.
Number of years we were roommates. We had a lot of fun together.
See, the friendship doesn't extend on the lanes, though, does it, Mike?
Never does. Never does.
All right, Jay.
All right, well, let's get the prizes passed out. And first of all is our plaque, and Butch Whitman is here to present that from the folks at the American Bowling Congress.
Damon, I'd like to present this to you on behalf of all the members of ABC worldwide. Good luck in Reno.
Thank you.
And they're looking forward to Reno, I know, and also looking forward to the Lynn shoes and the keepsake rings. Dave Osborne.
A pair of rental shoes for you, Mike. I want to thank you guys for coming out and bowling and doing a great job. On behalf of everyone here at Fountain Bowl, thank you, and thank all the volunteers that helped make this tournament really good. Thank you very much.
I want to say this is not Super Dave Osborne, but it is Dave Osborne, and his people have been great here this week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay. It's really fun to host an event like this. It's been a spectacular event, and we really enjoy it.
Well, a great house, and we're very appreciative that we were able to be here. Well, now, let's just very quickly get one final word from you. We're going to have a great international competition this time around, of course, when we get to Reno in June, and you all will be there.
Yeah, we're looking forward to beating people from all over the universe, actually. It's going to be a lot of fun. We also want to thank Mort Luby for buying us the shirts, the Bowler's Journal shirts. It was a lovely gesture. And we need to get in a plug for Jim Dressel, who Mike and I write for him. Mark Baker writes for the magazine. We know he's a great editor. He's just a questionable judge of character.
All right, that's going to do it. Our champions, Bowler's Journal, here at Fountain Bowl. And until next time, for Earl Anthony, this is Jay Randolph. Thanks for watching on the World Team Bowling Challenge Tour in the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado. Check your local listings. Hotel accommodations provided by Courtyard by Marriott. When staying in the Los Angeles, Orange County area, stay at the Fountain Valley Courtyard by Marriott. This has been an ABC Eagle Productions telecast.